COVID-19 pandemic has drastically changed the entire world we live in and how we exist in it. Many are now working from home as the virus continues to take people's lives. Artificial intelligence, no doubt, is becoming more integrated into our daily lives, but with technology, as is normally the case, comes many fears and challenges on how to use it and perhaps how to use it responsibly. It's a huge pleasure to welcome to Upfront on eNCA. I'm joined by UJ Vice-Chancellor Professor Tshilidzi Marwala and Convergence Partners Investments Chairperson Andile Ngcaba, both of them joining me this afternoon. Gentlemen, thank you very much for both taking time to speak to us. Prof, I would like to begin with you just from an education perspective, if I may. This has changed your entire landscape, hasn't it?
No, absolutely. As you know, we have not had any physical schooling in the last 4 months or so. So we had to increasingly adopt technologies for teaching. And there are many exciting technologies that are coming into the teaching domain: virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. All those things are actually making it quite easy for us to learn online. We can be able to track the attention span of the students so that we can be able to give them a good product.
Andile, I'd like to talk a little bit about your thoughts on how this is all put together. As the chairman of Convergence Partners Investments, and when we talk investment, we can't talk South Africa without China. If you take a look at the Sunday Independent, today there's a big write-up on how there's been a conversation, a business conversation between South Africa and China. Tell me a bit about that. So what can you tell me about that?
Well, as you probably know, that today in the world, all countries are pursuing strategies around artificial intelligence. This is done as a combined effort of academia, business, government, and other stakeholders. South Africa is doing the same. So is Europe, North America, so is Asia. And therefore, any economy today and tomorrow to almost differentiate itself in the world, it is because that economy would put artificial intelligence at the center of business. You know, whether that is banking, whether that is retail, whether that is agriculture, whether that is manufacturing, almost every sector of the economy will need artificial intelligence to be able to function. It is for that reason, therefore, that South Africa is looking into a number of countries in the world, Europe, North America, Asia, as to what is the best model, what is the best approach. And I must again say that it is that partnership with both academia and business that will make the best strategy of the country.
And I think many would agree with that, Prof. Marwala. If I come back to you, the article I'm taking a look at raises a very good question, Prof. As the good Andile said, it's artificial intelligence in manufacturing, retail, commerce, all very good, but governance and the way governance is being handled at the moment. Where does artificial intelligence fit into governance, do you think? And how do we not only survive the new normal, Prof, how do we thrive in this new normal for governance and artificial intelligence?
No, obviously artificial intelligence, as you know, is a technology that makes machines intelligent. The advantage of artificial intelligence is that it does not have the human behavior that in many ways compromise governance. For example, if we take the issue of tenders, for example, how do we infuse artificial intelligence into the decision making so that you can be able to track human beings and so that you can even get human beings to do some of the machines to do some of the things that human beings do and eliminate the mistakes that human beings make, such as intention bias, for example. So it plays quite a great deal of a role. Supply chain, now if you go around the world, you realize that more and more artificial intelligence is being infused in order to increase efficiency and impact, but ultimately to minimize human errors.
Andile Ngcaba, I'd like to bring this to you. I'd like your thoughts on this. And I want to give credit to TK Pue. He has written this article, page 8 of the Sunday Independent. New thinking is needed. And he makes a very good point in. I'd like you to unpack this for me. A number of countries, including Rwanda, China, Germany, etc., they're using this artificial intelligence not just as a way how to gauge the virus and how to handle the onset of the virus, but he says here, and I want to read it, but also these governments are using it to manage the fallout accompanying it. How well is the fallout being handled here, and how does AI help South Africa's government?
Well, I think the most important thing for AI to work, you need big data, right? And you need to collect data, you need big data. For AI to work, you need also open data. So one of the most critical issues, in particular at this point in time, is the ability to collect data and put it in what other people would call a data lake or a big data repository, where you can be able to train that data to get better understanding, either, for instance, of the virus itself. In a lot of countries, I mean, most of the government or institutions dealing with COVID-19, one of the most important aspects that has been discussed in a lot of papers is that you need to collect data in order to be able to understand what is happening or what is going to happen, or to be able to then train that data, using artificial intelligence or machine learning models, so that you can understand the next month or two, either in a specific area or in a country as a whole. One of the most critical aspects is the collection of data during this period and apply artificial intelligence to better understand, the way in which this disease or this virus, for instance, generally in social settings, in communities, in business, or to what extent is it affecting the economy. It is through these modern tools of artificial intelligence that we can be able to better understand this. But first and foremost, you need that big data and the ability to then overlay artificial intelligence on top of that big data for you to be able to understand what is happening.
And Prof. Marwala, big data is a word that we all love to throw around, and how to capture it, how to interpret it, how to apply it. Here's the problem, I'm sure you'll agree. Big data costs money.
No, absolutely. As you know, I am the deputy chair of the Presidential Commission on the Fourth Industrial Revolution, and we have actually come up with 8 recommendations. One of those is the establishment of the National Artificial Intelligence Institute, but the other recommendation is about building data capacity in South Africa. So there are 2 aspects of data capacity that we need to build. The first one is data storage capacity. Of course, we know now with the cloud, you can go and buy a cloud and have access to storage capacity. Obviously, there will be issues of cybersecurity that you will have to deal with. The second aspect is the computing aspect of data, because data on its own, for you to be able to infuse it into artificial intelligence, you need computational power, the ability to process that data. And again, you can go for cloud computing, where you can buy temporary space to analyze your data, or you can build capacity where you can be able to analyze this data. Without that capacity, we have to invest, and it's going to take money. Like any good thing, you have to invest. But if we invest responsibly, we are going to reap the benefits, because the benefits are going to touch all aspects of our economy, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is health, e-health, whether it is tourism, all aspects of our economy is going to be catalyzed by artificial intelligence. So we have to invest in data capacity.
Let me come back to our learned colleague, Chairman Andile Ngcaba. I'm going to ask you both the same question as I leave you both with this last question. Andile, I'm going to ask you to answer first. I want to bring it back down to a practical level. We can discuss AI, we can discuss big data and its costs. How is this going to benefit South Africa at this moment? What's the one thing, if AI comes in the way you want it to come in, what should South Africa's government do with it first? What would you like to see?
I mean, just a very simple issue that Prof raised earlier. To be able to solve some of the social problems we have, whether it's housing, whether it is corruption, whether it is, for instance, generally the way social grants are distributed, you need big data. You need to overlay artificial intelligence. You need computing power. You can't operate with millions of numbers of people or things, manually. Not anymore. That is why you need all these new tools, these digital tools, to be able to govern today. I mean, that is why other people talk about, digital governance, meaning the ability for you as government to relate with society when it comes to social services. If you want, for instance, your passport, your ID, your birth certificate, take as an example, a lot of people, the queues of death certificate during this period. I mean, there's no reason that that can be automated and be done using blockchain, for instance, whereby you receive your death certificate and continue to bury somebody using blockchain. These are some of the issues that can be used using digital technologies, using big data, using cloud, and using AI, to reduce the queues in the way in which services are provided. There's no reason for you to go and queue for a paper certificate in 2020.
Prof, let me leave you with the final word on this one. What would you advise the powers that be to use this kind of technology, assuming we get big data, assuming we get the investment? What would you have them do with it first?
No, I think they will have to solve all aspects of our economy, to improve efficiency, whether it is in agriculture, whether it is in manufacturing. We have been experiencing deindustrializing because we have not invested in technology such as artificial intelligence. But what I will advise is that let us invest in human capacity development, because for us to be able to adopt artificial intelligence, we will need people who are skilled. Our universities doing enough? Is our schooling system doing enough? When you go to industries, are we retraining our people so that they are in line with the new developments? If we do all that, I think the applications of artificial intelligence are almost limitless, and the benefits will be quite substantial.
Turning artificial intelligence into real intelligence. Gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I could discuss AI all day with you. My thanks to UJ Vice-Chancellor Prof. Tshilidzi Marwala, and also on the left of your screen, that is the Convergence Partners Investments Chairperson, Mr. Andile Ngcaba. My thanks to both of you for joining us here on Upfront this Sunday afternoon.